It's time for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier, Chris Martineau, and Melanie Howerton. On this week's episode, the Crickets are joined by stand-up comic and host of her own HBO Max special, Fighting Words, Ida Rodriguez. Jay, Chris, Melanie, and Ida review the 1995 American crime film, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead.
Old friends getting together. And it brings a tear to the eye, don't it, fellas?
Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
All right. Hey, friends, and welcome to the Film Crickets. It's a podcast where we talk about movies from 1980 to 1999 and decide, beyond the shadow of a doubt, whether or not these movies stand the test of time. I am your co-host, Jay Fortier, along with my good friend, Chris Martineau.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
What's up?
Hey, and we also have a good friend and co-host, Melanie Howerton.
Hello, coming back from COVID.
Hey.
Trying to get over that
Nice.
for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised you dodged the bullet for
I
that
know.
long, to be frank.
Yeah.
But
Well,
all right.
you know, you go to a little work party that your boss is throwing and someone shows up with COVID and everyone gets it.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
It's like a petri dish of
Yeah.
fun.
It was fun.
Well, we are honored today to be joined by Ida Rodriguez. Welcome.
Hey, thanks. Hi.
Yeah.
I was listening to the COVID story and I was like, yes, that's exactly how it happened.
No, you had it too.
You know,
I got COVID at a comedy show where they were cleaning microphones. They had people social distancing. They kept a limited number of people in the club. My opener, myself, we all went home with COVID.
Oh, God.
And the funny thing is that they just emailed me 2 days ago asking me when I wanted to come back, and I'm like, never.
Yeah.
I have comedy club aversion. I never want to go back.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
kidding.
It sucks.
Well, it seemed for this show, it happened on special occasions for all three of us. It hit Melanie on her birthday.
That's true. It's my
Chris on his
birthday.
anniversary. Right? Happy birthday.
That's right.
And I went on the Disney cruise and caught it like midstream. So yeah, it was.
So I had it on Christmas
eventful.
and New
Oh,
Year's.
God.
Nice. All right. Fantastic. That's the whole session. We got anniversaries, birthdays, cruises, and holidays. Fantastic. Really, it's good times. It's hard to. It doesn't discriminate. Isn't that nice? It doesn't really care. So fantastic. So we have guys. We have this movie, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, and Ida. So usually, you know, we come around here, and I'm gonna now, Ida. When you came on, you just said you just finished watching this movie again. So obviously, this was your suggestion. Usually, we go around the table here and we say, "What's your history with this movie? When's the last time you saw it?" Jay and Melanie, I'm gonna speak for all three of us. I think I might know the answer, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'd never heard of the film. I didn't know it existed. It pretty much didn't exist as far as I was concerned. Anybody see this?
No.
No, even know it was around. That doesn't mean it's not good. We just don't know.
I heard
did not
of it.
know this movie.
I knew the name of the
We
movie
heard
because
of
it was
it.
such
Okay.
a unique name, but I had never watched
Okay.
it. And I love Andy Garcia and I love his voice. So I've usually seen a lot of things that he's in, but I have never seen this. So the last time when we were supposed to do this show, I watched it. So I didn't watch it again since then, but I can't remember when that was, but I watched it then.
Around
Okay.
October.
Okay. That's when I watched it. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
And Jay, what's your deal?
Well, I was a frequent person at the video store back in the day, to the point where they knew my code like right away. Like here comes Jay. They'd
Yeah.
enter the whatever, how many digits. Like they didn't even have to look me up. That's so I had not seen the movie, but I'd seen the box. Like so, I was very familiar that it was a movie called that. In the video store. So I was aware of it. Never saw it though.
Okay.
This is the first time myself.
No, it was. I think I'm in the same boat as Melanie. The title certainly sounded familiar. Wasn't on my radar. Didn't blip to actually watch it. So now to Ida, dearest guest, I'm wondering. So you're a fan of this movie?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's
And
funny.
you've seen-
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. It's for those of us who didn't even know it sort of pseudo existed. You've watched it multiple times, so I'd love to know your
Yes.
history with this film? Did you see it in the theater? How many times? Like, do you have
I
a
saw it in
burned
the-
copy of it? Like, what's the deal?
It was a video movie as well. We didn't see
Okay.
it in the theater. I saw it with my ex-husband. We love to watch gangster
I like that
movies.
too.
Okay.
That's our
Yeah.
thing. And ironically, I did. I think it was late last year, not earlier this year. Yeah, late last year, I did Norman Lear's birthday celebration. So I performed. It was like George Clooney, Tom Hanks, and Christopher Lloyd, and I sat at the same table.
Oh, gee.
And I told him that I love this movie, and he told me that that's his favorite
Aw.
movie he ever did. It's his favorite
Really?
movie. And his wife was like, because I said, "Oh, I love Things to Do in Denver with Your Dad." He was like, "Nobody ever sees that
Aw.
movie." And he was
Yeah.
like, yeah, he was like, "That's my favorite movie." And his wife was like, "That's really his favorite movie. He's not just saying that," because his wife is hilarious. So yeah, I watched it, and I've watched it. It's funny to watch a movie like that and then watch it again, because I've watched it several times, like throughout the years. But to watch it after, the tide turn, and you think about like all the homophobia in the movie and the misogyny
Right, yeah.
and the objectification of the women and all that stuff, and you're like, wow, like I don't know. Every group would have a problem with this movie. Like every single marginalized group would be like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
But for, being a woman and being a person of color and raised by a queer person, I look at it and I'm like, that's the reality of how life has been in certain areas. And that is something that is real. And to try to erase it and pretend like it didn't happen is just, to me, is just foolishness, because that the common language in like neighborhoods of people that grow up, around each other, and they say these words and these terms that we shouldn't be saying or are not supposed to say anymore. We got to have the framework to understand where it comes from, So I watched it this morning and I was like, dang, there's a lot of homophobia in this movie. Like,
Okay.
wow,
Yeah.
it was really excessive.
So can I, I'm gonna dig deep here for a moment, and I like your take on that because that's a perspective I hadn't thought of when watching the movie. And I live in Washington D.C., so I got all types of everybody around
Yes,
me. I'm a
right.
teacher, so I have everybody around me all the time. So I now that you're saying that, it's ringing some kind of truth for me. But this is for everybody now. So this movie, where we're talking about the language and the thing that we can't ignore, right? The language about the marginalized and the homophobia and all that stuff that's in the movie. Now, this movie's around the same time as Pulp Fiction. I don't know if it's after it. I don't know if it's before it. And I don't know
It's
if
after.
it's before.
Is it after?
Because it said that the reason why a lot of people thought it was a box office bomb was because they were trying to compare it to a Pulp Fiction clone, and I guess they were expecting it to be like Pulp Fiction, which everybody loved, and that's why, a big reason why they were doing
And it's Miramax.
Yeah. So,
Oh yeah, the Weinsteins were involved.
Yeah.
Yep, both the Weinstein brothers. It's I think not just
Yeah, they
Harvey,
were
the
both
other
in.
one.
Yeah, they both.
Yeah,
in.
yeah. So I guess my thing here is that was my vibe. I'm like, are they just trying to get on the coattails of the Pulp Fiction organized crime vibe, and particularly with all of the language involved? But do we think that the slurs that are used in Pulp Fiction are also used in this movie? But is it more credible in one movie than the other? Is it have a different energy in one movie than the other? I'm just thinking, I just throwing shit against the wall here. Like, is it used more appropriately? Is it not you know what I mean? None of it's appropriate, but is it make more sense for one movie than the other? I'm just wondering, anybody have any like thoughts on that? I'm just thinking about that now.
You know,
What do
it's
you
funny.
think?
It's like Quentin Tarantino is like has this cult worship where people think that he can, he does everything in a specific way. Where I know a lot of people who take great offense to Quentin Tarantino's use of the N word, not
Sure.
just but in Django, like it's excessive. It's like he jacks off to it. Excuse my language, but it feels like
That's
he
fine.
really,
That's
he
all
loves
good.
the word so much that he's
Yeah.
like, let's say it 137 times, which is why Will Smith didn't want to do Django. And so, what I think about is that it just, to me, Pulp Fiction was very stylized. This movie
Sure.
was stylized in its own right. It
Yep.
didn't feel it didn't feel grounded to me. It felt very abstract. Whereas this movie feels like something that possibly could happen, even though it did feel like, you know, the language, like they had their own, give it a name.
Yes.
They were very
Yes.
intentional with creating this subculture there. But
Mhm.
when standing for where I stand from, being a marginalized person, thinking about it felt more organic for me. I mean, I don't know, maybe if Things to Do in Denver would have had a nice dance scene, it would have got a little more respect. They would have got some iconic actor from the 80s to dance.
Yeah.
And you know, Uma, whatever. But I felt like I do feel like that happens. Like it's okay to and once, because the person's more famous and you probably never heard of this director or whatever, or Sam Jackson is saying motherfucker, and that has some sort of credibility. But I don't feel like if they would have said Spick in either of the movies, one of them would have been more credible than the other. I felt like it would still just be a slur.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh yeah, I'm not looking to. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, it seems. I'm just wondering about the like is I guess what I'm getting at here is Quentin Tarantino abusing that thing in the one movie, whereas this director is not abusing it. Get what I'm saying? Is that, I think that's more the energy of my question. Is that kind of makes sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of us feel like Quentin has abused the words in all the movies.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know, as you said, he seems to derive great pleasure, orgasmic or not, from said language. So, all right. So cool. So let's dig in. Do we want to do the one sentence, Jay?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
In the history. So what we do this thing right now is I go to IMDb, and IMDb tries to break down this movie in one sentence. And I got to tell you, I just read it. They missed the mark. So talk about boiling it down. Ready? So here's what we got. Hold on. So this is Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. Came out in 1995, rated R. Comes in at 1 hour and 55 minutes. One sentence. 5 different criminals face imminent death after botching a job quite badly.
That's
That's
all
it.
it says.
I mean,
Quite badly. That's it.
you know, I mean, it does tell somewhat of a story there, but I mean, it misses a lot of stuff. Yes,
Yeah.
obviously.
I would say, quite badly. So directed by Gary Flater, I'm gonna guess. Writer Scott Rosenberg. The actors in this movie act their asses off, and they have the best names ever. We got Andy Garcia as the Saint, Chris Walken, who is the man with the plan, Chris Lloyd as Pieces, William Forsythe as Franchise, Bill Nunn as Easy Wind, Treat Williams as Critical Bill, Jack Warden, plays kind of the cowboy from Big Lebowski, Joe Heff, Steve Buscemi as Mr. Shh. That's the best. Gabriel Anwar as Danny, and so on and so forth. I could keep going. But we do have quite a few big names in this movie, and it was good to see all of them. So I kind of want to start. I want to start talking about choices. Why Denver? Why Denver? There's nothing Denver-y about any. I didn't see a mountain. I didn't see the Broncos. You know, it's like having a movie called Little Italy. There's a movie called Little Italy. Guess where it takes place? Little Italy in Toronto. What? I mean, why? Huh? So I'm just wondering, anybody, why Denver? Like, they all sound like they're from Queens. So why Denver? Anybody?
I will say that it is in the crime world. There's a running joke that's where people in the witness protection plan program go. They go to places like Denver.
They go to Denver. Okay.
But literally, it was actually all the exterior shots were around the city of Denver, Colorado. So it actually was there.
Yeah, I saw a couple mountains
Yeah,
through the
they
city.
did
Like
shoot.
they
There's
shot
a ski shop.
Yeah.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's a ski shop. Well, that's about as Denver-y as it gets.
It didn't feel like Denver.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. But I get it. You know, and they have that opening shot where Andy's coming in looking all hot. He's looking good in that suit, coming in with the arm out the window, just like
He always looks
he's
good.
the mayor of.
He will always.
He does look good.
He's amazing. He has the most beautiful voice I've ever heard of in a guy. I love him. He could look good in a trash bag.
Oh, wow.
No, but I wanna throw, because he's got the good voice and the good style.
Yeah.
Only somebody like him could say bee's knees and get away with it.
Easy.
I know.
Yeah.
I laughed
'Cause
at that this morning.
I was like, "There's no way." If I said
Nobody
that, it'd be like,
Yeah.
laughter like throughout the whole club.
yeah.
Like
I just
I
laughed.
laughed out the door.
Nobody under 80 says bee's knees.
I know.
I dare say that's
Even
the
in
bee's
19
knees, see?
Right, even in 1995,
Yeah.
people weren't
Yeah.
saying bee's
Yeah.
knees.
It's like something my grandmother would say or something.
Pajamas, everybody. You know.
Yeah.
So right out of the gate, we have, that's the one thing I know is like, why Denver? So now I like that. Next thing, like I know, so he was in organized crime. He's going straight, right? He was trying to go straight. And, you know, the first shot we see is like, he's living the life because he feels as though he's, you know, gotten rid of his past. The past is past. Now he's now. So he has a legit business. Possibly everybody, the strangest,
Yep.
like made up business I have ever. Does this stuff exist? When I first saw, so he's got like a video afterlife service that you can leave a recording if you're dying for your family. I thought it was like a legal firm, like a last will and testament video. It's not. It's just you get to sit there and say, isn't that just the weirdest choice?
Well, the whole time I kept thinking this is such a stupid business because why can't people just get a recording device and do it themselves? Why would they need to go pay someone to go record them? Because they can do this at home and leave it for their kid if they want to. Like, so I think that's why his business wasn't probably doing too good to begin with, and why he had to take a loan from a loan shark.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's no different than those like letters that started at the turn of when we got into 2000 that they had those letters that people were writing so that they could leave in a capsule for 20 years later.
I was about to say you don't get a lot of return business as a dark joke. You can't really get a punch card. You know, if you get 5, you get the 6 free kind of situation. Go ahead, Jay.
I really want to get into soon what when they get to the job. So like let's explain what the job is, and or not a job, it's an action.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Right. So Christopher Walken. I was going to say Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Walken is basically his old mob boss, and calls in a note. Basically, that he took out from somebody else, and then it's like, who do you think owns the note? From that guy, and says that he has to go, do this thing where, let's not forget at the beginning of the movie, this guy is creepily looking at
a little
this little girl at a freaking school, and at first, I'm hoping it's an estranged father. When I'm first looking, I'm like, please tell me it's an estranged dad. No. I'm saying, but, you could balance that where you go, like he's just like, he's out of her life. He's like hoping, he wants to be there again type of thing. And then you see him hop the fence. I'm like, oh, God, here we go. And then when the tongue came out, I was like, okay, all right. Somebody stop him, please. So this guy, that we don't even know him, like, he ends up, you find out he's Christopher Walken's character's son.
He's a pedophile.
He goes to grab a little girl because he's a pedophile, and he gets in trouble. But the thing was, Christopher Walken is saying that it's basically his son that lost his way after this one girl dumped him for some other guy, and this guy is about to come to town to ask the girl's father to marry him, and then all that stuff, and then he say, basically, I want you to stop him as he's coming to town and tell him it ain't happening.
But in this crew that he gets together to do this job, so Andy's in charge of the whole deal. You have his right hand man who has like the 4 kids.
John.
So he's the one that actually kind of is. Andy's in charge, but the man that's kind of executing the orders is the other guy.
William Forsythe.
I forget his name.
William Forsythe.
William Forsythe, right? So he's the one that actually has a head on his shoulders. He was a criminal, doesn't want to be a criminal anymore, but gets lured back in with $10,000. So that raises the question: for someone who wants to stay out of trouble, he does have a price, because we all have a price, right? So 10 G's will do it. Chris Lloyd in the group. Now we're looking at kind of movie organized crime. You have the guys in charge. You have his right-hand man who actually knows what's going on and is actually an integral part of making this happen. But then you get one guy, Bill Nunn, who's basically the driver and a heavy. Chris Lloyd, who's the dumb one of the group. Like, he's just not very bright. Like, when put on the spot, he kind of crumbles. Yeah. And then you have the hothead in Treat Williams, the guy that's going to screw everything up. So you have the kind of the classic. There's always one that's not bright. There's always one that's hot-headed. There's always the heavy. There's the guy with the brains and the guy in charge. And you have those 5 guys. Am I wrong? Isn't that kind of like classic, like organized crime situation? You're waiting for Treat Williams because you know he's the hothead and he's going to screw it up. He does. So does Chris Lloyd, but he kind of instigates the whole thing. Yeah. So to me, that was intriguing that you have kind of these archetypical characters. Am I way off base on that, or
no, you're not. I don't think you.
Okay, so we have but here's the thing: they all get together, kind of like Reservoir Doggy. Wow, Reservoir Doggy. It's like the prequel to Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
So you get them together, and again, we're talking choices before we get into. And Jay absolutely thought of it correctly. We're trying to keep, you can't marry this woman. That's the whole deal. He didn't even say kill them. He just said make him go away, which is great. But we're talking about choices. What was Treat Williams' thing in jail?
Oh, when he was a
fecal something.
Fecal freak.
I remember that part.
Fecal freak. Yes. Am I wrong? Again, this is a choice. He could have been any weird thing in jail because they all did time together, right? I guess that's the thing. Man, to choose that as your I'm not kink shaming anybody. However, of all the things you could choose, the fact that you're into poop, that was a little rough. Anybody find that a little bit unnerving, or was that just me? I don't know.
I really don't remember that part.
Yes.
It was unnerving from, the thing was, I think now when I watched it this morning, I was like, there was a lot of there was a lot of explanation of prison culture in it, right? Because you saw the narrating old man that's telling everybody what boat drinks means, why they do this, because you do it. And it was like trying to create this cultural thing that they were trying to, do in the movie with their own language. But I think sometimes it felt a little heavy. But I personally think this movie was mislabeled. I saw this movie as a dark comedy more than I did a drama. Because, Treat Williams was absolutely, I've never seen Treat Williams like that before. He's always this like sweet, like even keel, very wholesome guy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like, dude, like very like clean cut, I've
never
seen
him
comes to town. Yeah.
He was the funniest person though when he said, "Do you realize that we're all running from a head?" And he was
true.
He was like, I'm done. And when he says, when they come in to kill, they're going to send somebody. He said, I will fuck them from Friday to 2. He had his own language and everything that he was saying. And in his insanity, he was, to me, hysterical. Like, I could never take that seriously. I was like, but I just feel like there was just so much explanation of prison culture. And that's where that comes from. Because that's nothing but the Chris Rock's, the salad toss the salad man or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was just really heavy with the trying to explain prison culture. And to me today, I was like, what was the point of that? Because you never see prison. And, like people are who they are when they go in jail and they go out. And sure, prison may change you in some ways, but there's no prototype to a prisoner. Like that was the thing that they were trying to create, is like, this is what prison people do. And I'm like,
okay,
prison is,
I can dig it.
Yeah, it was weird.
See that I think that's because, again, what you said, when we have, I forget who but the old man in the malt shop who kind of is acting as the omniscient sage, explaining to the audience the thing that we don't understand. And they bring him in whenever, words come up that need explaining, like, and good for the movie for not saying it right away. Like the first time they say boat drinks, they don't go ahead and tell us what it means, or buckwheating,
Yeah, that was one. It was like buckwheat.
or any of that stuff. So, and that's on like they're making up a language. And I agree. I think I get that vibe that they're trying to explain to us that culture that they all went through from not in prison, from out of prison. I guess I was just taken aback, like maybe what you said, Ida, maybe a little lighter. Maybe a little less than going right for the fecal freak.
Yeah.
Like that seemed like a lot to ask the audience all at once. But I could be wrong. Whatever. I'm just saying.
I don't think.
Like I never.
No, I was just. I don't think Treat Williams needed that to be a weirdo. He was.
Yeah.
He was already a weirdo all by already. Like I just think there were just too many. He's peeing in a gallon. You're in an apartment that doesn't have a bathroom. Like what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like that was just. It was just heavy with. I guess in the development of the characters, it was like we're gonna make this guy the weirdo, but we don't have to give him.
Yeah.
I mean, the pedophile, we felt he was creepy from the beginning, and we didn't have to go visit his apartment and see images of children or whatever. We knew he was a weirdo from a few seconds.
Well, yeah, and they set the tone with Treat Williams' character by first off, I forgot that I saw the exterior of a funeral home, and so they go and visit him, and you see him working what looks like a punching bag, and then I'm going, oh, did somebody, are they saying that there's a punching bag in the shape of a human? Like in karate they have dolls that are oh no, it's a human being. And I was like, maybe it's the mob thing. Oh no, he's just working at a funeral home. And I was like really so disturbing. The guy's on a chain. He's like, yeah, he's not gonna, they're not gonna know. And I was like, oh my God.
And he called it a program. He was like, I'm working this program.
Yeah. I think the actors are given a lot of odd things and a lot of odd choices. They make a lot of not odd choices, but they commit to their choices. I think everybody in this movie is acting their asses off. For whatever, from Treat Williams being a maniac, from the other guy being a pedophile, from Christopher Lloyd, the lovable pornographer. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason not to like Christopher Lloyd in the movie.
I did not like him in the movie at all. I hated him in the movie.
All right, well, why?
I just hated his character. I just hated everything about his character.
Okay.
I don't know why. But the whole time I was watching the movie, I'm like, I can't stand the character that he's in right now. I don't know why. I just didn't like him. And of course, I didn't like him because he was the bad guy, too. They make you not want to like him. Why would you like him?
Yeah, good point. I'm just saying he's not overtly nuts. Bill Nunn, too, or it's just like they're just doing their...
He was the most even kill, I think, out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So if we're going to talk even keel, and we already talked about Treat Williams, we have to get to Chris Walken. So, wow. So let's talk Chris, shall we? Again, choices. We have a mob boss who can't move from the neck down, who moves in a wheelchair with a blowpipe. Now, that is, wow. Of all the, how intimidating, first thing that goes through your mind is, how intimidating is this guy that he is immobile and can make people do
everything.
stuff? The other part of it is, when did he become disabled? Do we find that out, or is that...
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I don't remember.
It was an attempted hit on his life.
Yeah.
Okay, was that recent?
I don't remember when it was.
It was after his wife died because he said, thank God she never saw me like this.
That's right. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry that I didn't get those details. I'm sure they didn't just leave it for us. But they also didn't have to go into a big backstory. They just said, hey, this guy can't move. But on the other side of it, boy, it's tough to tell people what to do when you can't move. And the weird nurse stroking his legs with a I know that's a thing where you
Jenny McCarthy. I didn't even recognize
that was her debut.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I'm used to her now. I'm used to seeing
Yeah.
her now. So seeing her then, I'm thrown. I'm like, it didn't look exactly like her.
In my trivia,
The
I
one I'm
have
used to seeing
something that she said about Christopher Walken. I'll tell you when we do the trivia because it's kind of funny.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
But he's doing his thing, and he's not doing the regular stuttering thing. He's kind of going low, and I like angry Chris Walken. I like when he goes low and high and just doesn't do the one syllable becomes three syllable situation. He was doing a super job, and how intimidating is a person that can't move? He can't move, but you're terrified of him. And let's talk about what he's trying to do. He asked these guys. Now he's an organized criminal. He's not a nice man. Okay, hot take of the day. Chris Walken, not a nice man in the movie. So I know, controversial, but he's trying to get the woman this boy to not propose to this girl that his son likes. Doesn't say waste them, says just get him to leave. Yeah. Then it gets botched, which we should get into. He
wants that girl to go back with his son. He thinks it's going to cure him of his pedophilia. So he definitely doesn't want her to die. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And so he they ask, and then they bungle it, and then he says everybody just get out of Denver. So
but
really,
I want to talk about the job, the
all right,
the thing.
Talk about the job, Jay.
No, because all right, so you got the kid who played on Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, as he's the one driving the van or the truck.
Oh yeah,
right.
He's in Dead Poet Society as well.
Okay, right. Yep. So
I don't remember. I gotta look it up.
I
can't remember anything right now.
He is. That's all right. COVID brain.
Definitely have that.
So here's the thing. You are dead weight when you're sitting in a vehicle. And Treat Williams was able to remove you from sitting down. Like he was able to pull you from the window when you you were calling them out on the fact that they weren't actually cops. They pull him over.
Okay.
And he pulled him at dead weight. He was strong enough to pull you. If you can get pulled out of a car from a sitting position, I don't think I'd be mouthing off to the guy that had enough strength to do that.
And who has a gun.
And then
he's got a gun too.
Right. Right. But he had him like strangled up against the thing, and he's mouthing off to him, and he gets a knife put to his throat.
Yeah. He's still talking.
And then when he takes the knife away, he calls him the C word.
Yeah.
It's like, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
what are
this
you
guy
doing?
has everything above you right now.
Yeah.
The only thing you have over him is attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you haven't won anything yet.
Yeah.
Don't you can't be that egotistical.
Apparently he was.
And then he stabs him.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying you can't. How on earth do you think you're going to win this? He pulled you from a vehicle, and then so like he, like I said, so then he stabs him after he gets really upset. Then the girl comes around the corner, and Christopher Lloyd flips out and freaks by mistake and shoots her.
Yeah.
Because he didn't expect to see her, and so they're both dead. And that's where but I just quit. I'm mind blown at choices
Charles
of
is his
not
name.
the actors but the character. Was it?
His name is Josh Charles. You see that in movies all the time. I always have anxiety when I watch a movie when a woman is being abducted or being held by somebody, and then they're like, "I'm gonna tell," and I'm like, "Shut up!"
Yeah,
like it's. I mean, you see it I watch it all the time where you see someone, you're like, they told you just be quiet and survive, and these people are just. Some people have anxiety and emotional, and they don't know how. But that guy, whoever wrote the movie had an attitude about Denver, L.A., New York, because he goes, "I know you guys are not cops. I know my rights. I'm from L.A." And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Also, he does, while you are, if you're that character, the young man driving the van, and you know that it's just not adding up. So I got 2 points. One, if you know it's not adding up, something is amiss here. And then maybe you ought to just go, okay, maybe. But again, then you wouldn't have a movie. So it's a stupid thing to say. So obviously. Second bit, Andy Garcia puts together his crack team of guys to get the job done. They're the worst criminals ever. They didn't think of any of that.
Yeah, the
Like,
two
how
smartest-
good are they? This is your crack team. Maybe you deserve this.
The
You're
two
the
smartest.
worst.
The two smartest are back at the moving van.
Yeah.
Like the two that have the biggest heads on their shoulders are back at the moving van waiting to see how it all
Yeah.
unfolds.
Yeah.
Right. And you have the hothead and the dumb one in the group. That was my point about the archetypes. The hothead and the dumb one in the group executing the plan. That's a terrible idea. You put the hothead in charge of the getaway vehicle because he'll drive recklessly out of the situation, and you put someone that's cool and calm and collected who can out logic the person in front of you. So they deserve it. I mean, honestly.
Why was
They
Christopher
deserve it.
Lloyd the dumb one? I didn't picture him being dumb.
Not dumb, but like when put under pressure,
Yeah.
he doesn't know what to do, and he doesn't know. When I mean by dumb, I don't mean necessarily not
Yeah, yeah.
intelligent. What I mean by is, well, even though he's probably no rocket scientist, but still, the fact of the matter is, when the young punk in the not a punk, but when the kid in the van who was the one that's in love, legitimately starts questioning it, Lloyd's got no comebacks.
You're like,
He's
"Come
got
on,
nothing.
man."
He's got yeah.
Check us
He
out on
actually
word.
says,
Yeah.
if you're an authority figure, you never say, "Come on, cut me a break." You don't say that. Cops don't say that. Like, you're terrible at what you do. I don't know.
They're
That's
out of
just-
touch. They haven't been doing it for a while. That's what it's like. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then get a new group. That's
This
your
is all
fault,
they
Andy
have.
Garcia, for getting this
It was
group.
supposed to
No,
be
but
something
I
that
got
was
something.
easy, and they fucked it up.
It was
Now-
his fault though. Even Treat Williams was like, "It's your fault." He was like, "You know I'm crazy."
Oh my god.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, way to go, dummy. Why would you hire a guy like
Yeah.
me? This is terrible.
Why couldn't Andy Garcia just
So-
do it? Did they know who he was or something?
I don't know. Like I said, the wrong people were back at the moving van. I gotta say, I laughed out loud after they go to the basement of the funeral home, and they find places for the bodies to go. Underneath the casket, there's like a compartment underneath a regular casket.
Yep.
For like an extra body that you're going to bury
yeah,
these
yeah,
people
yeah.
along with somebody. And I laughed so hard when the Treat Williams, pulls up to the cemetery and the pallbearers go to get the casket out of the back of the hearse, and they all go,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
because it was
Two bodies.
twice
too heavy.
the weight that it should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
is
really-
funny.
That was outstanding
Yeah.
because you see them all grunt, but it's like, wow, it's like, how does he remain cool and calm as a driver for a hearse? Like, for people, it's like, I mean, I guess nobody's driving with him, but still,
Yeah.
it's a dangerous thing to put him in charge of anything.
I know. He's a
So-
one.
So let's talk, and I'm going to ask Ida, because I think you're probably more versed than I am. So I would love to get a better foundation on this, on what I'm going to ask here. So, and again, because you saw the movie more than I have,
And more refreshed because
So
she
I
saw
guess
it
the-
this morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just saw it. Oops, sorry about that. So I guess the question is, so Andy Garcia goes back. Chris Walken's obviously upset, and he gives them all an out. He says, "Just get out of Denver," right?
No,
So,
no,
and
no,
again,
sorry.
no. What's the deal? Help
He
me
did
out.
not
help me out.
give him all an out. He says, your whole crew
Okay.
is dead. Andy, basically,
Yeah.
I'm going to let the saint Andy live. He's the only one that's supposed to live. And
Okay.
but as long as he gets out of Denver, the other ones already have a death sentence. So he's going to kill the whole
Okay.
crew, and he'll let him live if he leaves. However,
Okay.
Andy begs for the life of the one, I can't remember his name, that has the
Really important.
that has the
William Forsythe.
kids. Yeah, he's like he's got
Okay.
a family. Please, 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 just let him live. And so he says, okay, fine, I'll let him live. But he doesn't. He goes back on his word and he kills the guy that has the wife and family. And that's when Andy Garcia gets super fucking pissed and then starts rebelling and he wants vengeance. And then of course now
Okay.
he has a death sentence against him. And then he goes and kills that kid, the guy in the wheelchair's son, because of all the shit that he put everybody through to begin
Yeah.
with. But
Sure.
he was supposed to live, but he just begged
So-
for the life of the one that had the family, and he didn't let him live.
Right. So I have a question. So I'm sorry if I conflated that. And again, I probably just forgot. So the question is, why are we giving Chris Lloyd money? and tickets to places?
Because he's trying to get him out, even though he's got a death sentence, and Andy's trying to get him to live. He's like, they're gonna kill you.
So he's giving him money out of his own pocket
The money
so that
from
he'll
the
get
hit.
out. Okay,
He tried to get all of them to leave.
right.
Um,
But they won't leave.
Treat Williams, well, he's a man of his word. He took down the killer, even though he ended up dying. But he was the one that was like, "I'm not running."
It was one of those like good. Both of them died.
One of
because,
them
Treat
hid.
Williams, you know,
One
he's
of
a
them-
dangerous dude.
Yeah, and one of them.
Like I'm saying, Treat Williams is no loss. Sorry.
No, he's not. No.
But yeah, one of them hid, right? And then Christopher Walken, his pieces, right? Pieces.
Yeah,
He didn't want to
Lloyd.
run. He was like, no, I'm going to take it like a man. You know what I mean? Like, so he knew he was going to die, and he was ready for it. That way he could have a easier death. So he was going to stay. And then one of them was going to fight, one was going to run and hide, one was going to stay and just deal with it. So they all kind of had their own thing. I would have been running. I would have taken that money and got.
Yeah, I'm like,
yep.
I'm like, I can see the guy with the family not going. I guess my biggest issue is like, Treat Williams is crazy, so yeah, he's gonna stay. To me, Christopher Lloyd, like, what has he got? Like, just get out of here. I go, like, you're giving him all this money and a plane ticket to say, hey,
Well,
look, they're gonna come after you. I don't understand. Like, I don't know.
I think he was older and just said, I've done it. I've lived it. I'm good.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to run.
I know he said that.
Live my life like looking over my shoulder the whole time.
His lost fingers, his toe just fell off. His kids don't want anything to do. Yeah,
No, that's right.
yeah, his kids want nothing to do with him. So he's like,
okay.
He was done. He was like, I've already lived my life, and he was like, I'm just gonna, like she said, take it like a man. He was ready to go.
No, was that leprosy?
Yeah.
Like did
They
they
said
say
he had
it? Like,
leprosy,
okay,
yeah.
so they get leprosy and they're all doing that like hand thing where they hold each other's hands. I'm like, maybe you want to wash it.
Yeah, that was
like I don't know.
That's
maybe
not sensitive to
touch
people with
the
leprosy.
guy.
That was another laugh out loud moment for me when the kid that is in the van, he's like, whoa, what happened to your fingers, man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
That's when I know I was annoying when I first watched that movie, because it was like when I watched Sling Blade, I was the only person laughing out loud.
Really?
Sure.
People are looking at me like I'm a weirdo, and I'm like, I'm the weirdo. Like,
Yeah.
watching what's happening.
That's amazing
Yeah,
that
right.
you got to sit with Christopher Lloyd. I mean, can you imagine being able to sit at a table with him and his wife? That's the coolest thing.
Yeah, and to find out that is his first, I think that he got typecast after Back to the Future, and
Sure.
it was really hard for him to be, anything else.
Yeah.
Because even at this event, they were calling him, by his name in the movie in Back to the Future, and he was just like bro, it was interesting, but he was so happy to hear somebody saw the movie, because he really loved that movie.
I'm sure he loved playing the character. It's probably fun to play. Put it closer, put it closer. Oh my God, that's so cool. That's amazing.
That's the best.
Yeah, he was
That's so neat.
and his wife was hilarious.
Really?
His wife is, she's a firecracker. And she was like, some big time producer came to talk to him. The guy who created Arrested Development, and he created Rosenthal, the guy who created, I think, Everybody Loves Raymond. And
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
comes to speak to Christopher Lloyd, and his wife was like, yeah, 1 second, he's talking to her right now. Like, it was, I was like, no wonder, like, she's a firecracker. They compliment each other, but
Yeah.
they were both very sweet.
That's an honor. That's such an
That's
honor.
awesome.
That's amazing.
It's very cool.
Very cool.
Norman Lear's birthday party, huh? That must have been exciting.
It was interesting.
That's kind of cool.
It was,
Yeah.
it was like, wow, 100 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, he was responsible for All in the Family. They do those live ones now, like every year.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Kimmel has been hosting. Did anybody see the most recent of like last year when they did Facts of Life and Different Strokes?
No.
Did I know that?
That was Kevin Hart was Arnold, right?
How awesome!
Wow.
How
Wow.
awesome! He had the beard. He still had his beard, so he's dressed as Arnold and jumping into John Lithgow's arms.
Oh,
John
Wow.
Lithgow played Mr. Drummond. Genius.
Yep, not perfect.
that's
It
fun.
was so great.
That's funny. Oh my God.
That's awesome.
And
Yowza.
Lisa Whelchel, who played Blair, has not aged at all.
Yeah, she looks good.
She's very sweet. Very sweet. I met her and I met the woman who played Joe Polnicek. I don't know why I can't think of
Oh.
her name now.
No,
Oh, okay. Yes.
I bet you she looks good too. I haven't
Joe.
looked at her, but she looked good then. It looks
Yeah.
like she would age good.
Yeah, she did. She was also very sweet. So sweet that it was so weird because I'm used to her being like this tough
Yeah.
chick,
Yeah,
but she was very sweet as well.
that's awesome.
No.
That's awesome.
All right, so let's kind of get towards the meat of, or at least the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
So and a couple other things. So first of all, how did we feel about the omniscient guy in the malt shop? Basically, the narrator, our voice, our translator. I forget his name.
Jack Warden.
Jack Warden. So obviously that his existence is a literary tool, right? He's if it were Shakespeare, it'd be someone who's on the stage acting as comic relief, telling the audience here's what's going on, or filling in the gaps.
Yeah.
What did you feel? Because he's, like I said, all I could think of was the cowboy from Big Lebowski, this omniscient presence that kind of gets us all back into the movie once things start to go awry, right? What did we think of him? Like, was that good? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I'm just wondering, because it's a unique tool. There's a lot of things about this movie that are unique, and having that guy do that in the movie, he has no other role in the movie. I mean, maybe to set up some previous history, redundant, rather than future history. Rather than set up some background. What did you think of what he did in the film?
It was just confusing at one point for me because I liked the tool, but one point where it felt like he was sitting right next to them telling the guys what was going on, and it felt like he could hear it. But then when they pan out, it's like their conversation is silenced, almost like you can't hear it, like that they're over there having that conversation. But when they do that close-up shot, he's right here and he's talking.
Yeah.
It just felt kind of weird right there. Like I'm like, they can't hear him. Like that. I just saw that right now and I was like, oh, but I actually enjoyed his. I mean, that it was an interesting way for them to explain some of the things that was in the language and the culture. Like when he explained the buckshots or
Buckwheats.
It was, he just didn't even, it was straight with no chaser. He was like, they put a gun up your ass and they, and you're
crazy.
Yeah, it was. Yep. And I was like, wow, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
No. Well, gee, that sounds like a great afternoon.
There was this fascination with the butt in the movie. Like, my daughter is a writer on Doom Patrol and and they have like all these butt episodes. And I'm like, what is this fascination with butt stuff? But and I don't mean it from the perspective of sexuality. It was just the buckwheats, the fecal freak.
Oh, yeah, right?
Freak. Yeah.
It was just like I said, there was just so much fascination with that. It was interesting.
Yeah.
The writer.
It's quite scatological. Yeah. Mel?
I like things that have narrators in them. So I liked that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Okay.
And it did explain a lot. Like half the language, you would have had to been looking it up on your phone the whole time going, what the hell does that mean?
I don't know that it exists. Does it exist?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it made up?
I thought, like, thank God they
Well,
put that in there because you wouldn't have,
Some of their stuff they were making up, like to
for the movie,
they were combining.
But but I'm saying like you wouldn't have known what that meant if somebody wasn't telling you what that meant. So I don't know. I think it's kind of cute that it was narrated. I like that.
Okay.
After the fourth time that they said give it a name, I was like,
they ruined it. They ruined give it a name because when he said they caught him at the playground, and he said it's a brain thing, not a balls thing and he said give it a name, I thought that was very clever. He was like, whatever you want to call it, it's called pedophilia, but whatever. But then they overused it. And just now I was like, because it gave context, and the first time when they used it, you're like, oh, the guy's like, yeah, whatever you want to call it, he's still a pedophile. But then they just kept saying, give it a name. And I was like, oh, they overused the term to be cool, where it was so cool, where it could actually have, it was easy to understand at the beginning. And then I was like, okay, I don't know why they keep saying this.
Yeah.
So I had to ask what the hell they were saying. Like, what is it? What are you talking about? And it was like basically, tell it.
Well, a lot of the things, the language they use, they eventually pay off. And you get to understand what it means, I guess. And that's my point with that guy. I love him. He's great. He's a sweet old man, even if he has a criminal background. Like you just dig it. You love his voice. You love his attitude. Weird that he ends up with the assassin, talking to the assassin at one point, who weirdly enough is Steve Buscemi, the last person I'd want to cast in a John Wick-esque role. Yeah. But sure, it's just tough to see him doing anything else. Same with Chris Lloyd, I guess. But I guess my issue is this, and it's a pet peeve of mine. I think that I liked it at first, but then when they kept using it, it bugged me a little, because you don't need to explain it to me if you're telling the story the right way. You know what I mean? Like, if you do it the right way, you don't need to have someone stop the movie and tell me about what buck reading is. It should be in the conversation. You know what I mean? The fact that you don't even have to have somebody give it a name. Like, eventually it comes up. Or boat drinks. Like, it's such a weird thing to say, and it catches your attention when they say it, because you go, what the fuck does that mean? And then by the end of the movie, you pay it off. We don't need somebody to explain it in an otherworldly, almost otherworldly, fourth wall breaking narrative. You know what I mean? I like him. I think it's neat. It kind of, like, I would rather it not there, and I am now left to figure it out by the end. And I think by the end, they would have explained all of it. And you know what? If you didn't explain it, then you didn't. It's okay. Like, it's all right. I would rather not know than have somebody explain it to me, so that on the second watch or the third watch, I would figure it out. So I just kind of, and there's one time where, like you said, Ida, he's kind of like in the shot. Like, how are you not hearing it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
he's omniscient, like a godlike deity-ish character. And I don't need that. I guess that kind of, I liked it at first, and then after a while it bugged me.
But they did that in
And I guess it's too bad. It's kind of too bad, because I don't need it explained to me. Explain it or don't, whatever. Or have the dialogue explain it. I don't need a person telling me. I guess that was my only issue. And it's too bad, because he was cool. You know what I mean? I don't know. Is that just me, or am I nuts?
The Steve Buscemi sitting with them to me, that was a mess up, because just everybody knows who these killers are. They know. It's just weird that he's sitting there with him, and I thought you knew, because when the killers that kill Andy Garcia come in, they like, everybody knows who these people are.
Yeah.
Why is this weird? Why would you be telling the business to some weird person that you don't know who they are? That just feels like out of the mob code.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
And Ida, I'll even say to this, that character, even if you like him or not, he's or what he does, he's neutral in the whole thing. He's just overseeing. And once you put him with Steve Buscemi, you give him an angle, or you make him integral, which is not the point of that guy.
That's right.
Right?
I agree with
He's
that.
supposed to be neutral. You know? So whatever. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just, I wouldn't be able to do much better. I'm just saying, like, that to me bugged me a little bit, that you made him not neutral. And I don't know, maybe that's what they were going for. Great.
By the way,
you know what I mean?
Backtracking a little bit, I do like the scene where they're beating the crap out of each other in the malt shop, when the girl in the background has a birthday party hat on.
No, yeah.
There's a little girl with like a birthday hat, and it's like, wow, that's what you need. You know, some people literally just not only beating the shit out of each other, but swearing at the top of their lungs.
Well, that's the fecal freak conversation.
That's that was where that started.
Wow.
But it's like, if you're a family at this birthday party, you kind of almost don't want to leave, because it's like, I don't want to walk past these people. To get out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, The birthday's ruined, I would say. And they're like, it's okay. It's okay.
That's funny.
You know, like they're trying to calm it down.
Yeah.
That was great.
One thing I
Just the
will say is
contrast.
when the molester gets apprehended in the playground and the kids like surround him and start calling him weirdo, I was like, that's Brooklyn. That is not Denver.
It looks like Brooklyn. It totally does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not Denver. I was like, that fell off. Like I was like that because I would run if something like that happened around me when I was 5.
Yeah.
I just was like, yo, the kids are gangsters too. Like
Yeah, the whole time watching
again,
it's funny. You would never even ever, like he said, think that it wasn't Denver. It does look like New York or something. I don't know.
It's the same energy. Again, worst set of teachers ever.
oh,
Who's
man.
watching?
Plus,
They
you
just-
think
Like there's a
mob, you know,
dude.
I don't know.
There was a big dude watching before he did anything. Like you should be over. That's the worst possible like supervision ever. Like I don't what the hell. Like that's the first thing you look for. Like weird dudes.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
particularly.
he's- And he's not
Whatever.
small. Like it's like he's
No.
pretty easy to spot.
And you guys didn't talk about Andy's love interest or the prostitute Lucinda or anything. What do you guys think about
Well,
those
I mean,
characters?
that's kind of where I wanted to go in that. Did everything end up was there justice for everybody? So Andy Garcia, like his legacy lives on through this woman who is carrying his child.
And
who's
see,
a
how do you know
prostitute.
she's going to get pregnant because they had sex one time? Like,
Once.
just one.
Yeah.
You don't
You're
know,
hoping.
but, you know, they had to make...
She said she
got
was
super-
ovulating.
Oh, that's
She
right.
said
That's right. Okay. She did.
She said she only had two more days.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
which lets me know that these men don't understand women.
That's right.
How-
I'm glad
Yeah.
Paul said that.
How
Yeah.
bad would it have been though? How awful would it have been if you see his tape and he's talking? I'm really, I just want to do this for you. And like she's like, man, if I had only, if it had only taken, like,
Yeah.
when she's not pregnant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's already dead. We never discussed the whole like love thing like that he was trying to do with
Yeah, that was
Gabrielle
kind of the
and
main
Laura.
thing of him throughout the whole movie. I felt bad for her
Yeah, like-
a lot. I really felt bad for her.
Yeah, of course. But it was weird though because you are under so much stress and pressure from your friends are getting killed, you're being threatened, and you're still like finding time to go to like have moments with her that's really chill. And I was like, wait, how are you this calm? Like, I would be ripping my hair out of my head. And it's like he's like like meeting her at the Natural History Museum, and like I'm like, what's going on? So
It was a
kind of a weird
public
little
place,
like,
though. It was a public
Yeah,
place.
I
That's-
know.
But he knew he was a dead man walking. So,
Hmm.
I mean, he was trying to find the moments with the one person he had never felt that way before. I didn't like the language around love that they gave him. Does he make you thump? And I
Oh,
was like,
yes.
that was
Yeah.
as a woman. I was like, I would have been like, what, weirdo? Like
Right.
that.
Mhm.
I just felt like he was trying too hard to create this language. Like, it was just, everything was just so, it was too much. Like, are you in love? Does he make you thump though?
Yeah, it's
it
like-
was just like, what?
Yeah.
Nobody. It's tough when you're trying to do that, but nobody talks.
Yeah,
that way,
I don't like.
right?
I didn't like
So-
the wording either, and you wonder about the writer. It's like, does he not even understand women whatsoever? Like they're just the writer in general, like the actual guy that is the writer that put that in there. Like that's just the dumbest thing. Like why would you write that? Like I don't know, and it doesn't look right coming out of Andy Garcia's mouth because he's just more slick than that. He doesn't. He wouldn't say something like that. I don't think it didn't look right.
I mean, is it that boring to just say, does he give you butterflies?
Yeah.
Like at that point, you're like, that was for me. I was like, does he make you thump?
Yeah.
I would immediately be like, this is Critical Bill. He's crazy. I'm out.
Yeah.
He just asked me if somebody makes me
right,
thump.
right,
Yeah.
right.
It's like weird.
That
Well,
was, yeah, it was, that was. It's
Butterflies would have been
That would have
better
been
because it shows that there's actual genuine feelings and he's able to get out of himself to say normal language, not back to does he make you thump and whatever. So,
about-
but whatever, it's a
what about the
choice.
scene
Like I
where
said, a
he-
lot of weird choices in the
Yeah,
film.
well, what about the scene where he gives the engagement ring that he was going to give that girl to the new guy because he knows he's not going to be around? That was really, that was sad.
Like,
what guy would
and
accept
weird for the guy? Yeah, like that. I mean, what would you do if you were the guy? That's just such a weird thing to.
Yeah.
For a guy like for Andy Garcia's character, that was sad, and it was sad for her. But for that guy that's getting handed the ring, that's like I don't know what a guy would do in that situation. It's so weird.
Hey,
I mean-
by the way, though, if you're, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
he did. No, I was just gonna say he did it. He was just like, "What the hell is going on here?"
Yeah.
I was just thinking though, if you're going on a date and somebody has a nickname with the word "the" in front of it, maybe you should put on some brakes, like Jimmy the Saint. You know, like it's like, well, all right, he took me to an Italian restaurant. You know, he's got a mob vibe about him. He's got a name with, you know, a nickname with the word "the" in front of it. Unless it's like really mellow, like, you know, the mediocre. Or you know, you know, like something not very.
But at least it's the
threatening, but-
saint and not the exterminator
right.
or something like.
Yeah.
Maybe the exterminator. You'd be like, my mom's calling me. I gotta go. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
When you get married, do you have to take the quotes with the name? Is the
Right.
question. I know that's all I want to know. You have to take the quotes. That's all.
No,
So,
I think that
cool.
that's a very evolved mentality. I think when you're a young, beautiful woman and an intriguing, you see the boring,
Yeah.
clean-cut boyfriend, this intriguing, dark figure that has this bad boy edge, comes into your life and sweeps you off your feet. I thought that was one of the things that I felt was probably more. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more between them in terms of to earn the "I love you," but I
Sure.
feel like I felt like that was pretty. I got it. I was like, you know, he's a good-looking man. He has the voice thing where he takes his voice down. You know,
Look, just because you got a great voice doesn't mean that people suddenly fall in love with you.
He's got the best voice, I think.
just saying.
Really, there's just nobody
Oh,
that
boy.
sounds like him. I've always loved his voice. I think everybody loves his voice. He would be a great narrator. Like,
Maybe
know?
he has. You never know. So
the guy who wrote the movie has some predatorial thoughts. You know, it was. I can't do this. This is the first date, and then 4 minutes later, he's knocking on the door, and they're having sex, and that's the first time they met. You know, it's just like
yeah.
I'd have been like, "Yeah, nah, buddy, I just met you 17 hours
Yeah.
ago. It doesn't matter if it's 4 minutes later from yesterday."
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Does I just want to bring up the last scene. I think we'll do final judgment. Jay, what do you think? Is that where we're at?
Oh, the
Time wise?
yeah, and then she has a quick bit of
Oh,
trivia.
TMI. I forgot about that. Sorry, Melanie. So we're in the afterlife. Eventually, everyone does meet their end. Chris Walken is still around, and we finally get the definition of boat drinks, which is when you finally get to have finally in a calm place and a nice place, and you get to have drinks on a boat with somebody because you finally made it. Well, they finally made it, but they're all passed away. They've all been executed. I guess I saw the end coming. I wasn't wholly satisfied by it because it was just these guys that they did this heist with and kind of nobody else. To me, if we're in the afterlife, I'd want other people than the people that I just screwed up this heist with. Am I like, you almost want a bigger boat with more like almost people that you don't know but must be family? But it's just these guys that you did this botched job with. To me, that's not great. That's not a good afterlife. I don't know. Like I'm with Treat Williams forever, the fecal freak that screwed everything up. Like I don't know if I want to be with Chris Lloyd. He's a nice guy, sure, but I don't know. Maybe somebody else. I'm glad that they're all comfortable. But if this is heaven, I don't know. Like
Maybe
I'm
they're
not saying they.
together. Maybe
Hey,
they're
Yeah,
that's
you know what I
their
mean?
heaven,
Like,
and
maybe
that's
some
what they
other
wanted.
people-
It's like that's you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
You know, he talked about the beginning of the movie. He wanted a boat,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah, I
like,
know.
"What are you gonna do
Yeah.
with a boat in Denver?" Like
right.
that
The,
was
the money,
True.
the boat money, right?
yeah.
oh, yeah, that's right. They had the boat money. Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, at least, there was a little bit of justice when he knows he's gonna die because the way Christopher Walken talks to him and says, "Okay, that's it, and you'll always be wondering if I'm going to kill your girlfriend first or whatever like that." So at least he goes and kills the pedophile, which is Christopher Walken's son, and whips the hat at the two brothers. Like, yeah, at least now Christopher Walken can't have a full control over Andy. Yes, he's going to kill him, but he's still got your son.
Yeah.
And you have to live with that now.
Yeah.
But
that was a good ending.
My one last thing is, the cop, right? There's a cop that works for Christopher Walken.
Oh yes.
And
Yes.
okay, so you're already working for a mobster, so you should, have to look at your life. But when that mobster asks you to remove his junk
Oh God.
from his pants, you have to then go, oh fuck, what the hell? Where did I go wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
How did I get myself into
that? Because even he goes, Like, wait, you want me
Excuse
to
me?
what?
What's that now?
Yeah.
Was it, what's
so
that?
that is a way to say, okay, I'm done. That's when you have to look inward and go, where did I go wrong?
And the thing is with somebody like
can
that, you
outrun-
always think when there's somebody like that, I've seen so many movies where somebody's like disabled or something and like they're ruling everything and you're like, it'd be so easy to take them out. Like how he's treating everybody. He can't get away.
Yeah.
He just, it's like, not like Andy Garcia can take him out because he's guarded by everybody, but like the guards themselves that are like working right next to him or whoever is working for him, like right there. It's like, they could easily take him out if he treated him like shit long enough. It's like, you think you'd want to treat the people that are like right next to you a little bit better than that, because you can't.
But that's mind control.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. Yeah, mind
Yeah.
I think it was interesting to see that because that is mass hysteria and people who are in control. Like you think about all these horrible leaders in the past who've done horrific things and people have had them in plain sight and mob leaders where it's amazing what one person who's smarter than everybody in the room can do if they just lure people into following their way. And it just was interesting to see. Because the whole time, I bet you everybody's thinking like, you guys just could just slap the taste out this man's mouth, knock him on the ground, and that would be over. But it's the fact that he had them all here. Yeah. And then he instilled fear in all of them. Yeah. And he, Christopher Walken is Christopher Walken. So he's blowing into rolling up in your face, challenging you, threatening you. And he called them morons. He's like, I'm sitting around with these morons all day long. And nobody would do anything, but it's just interesting because that's the way it works. Yeah. It's like the guy who's the smartest guy is gonna run the dummies, and that you just sit there and you're like, wow, they are all like, where's his muscle? Yeah,
and that makes it more terrifying because I did think that, but at no point in the movie did it seem like he was ever not in control and not the most terrifying person in the room. Yeah. So good on him for that. Because I thought of that for an instant, but I'm like, not this guy. Like he's large and in charge, regardless of what his mobility is below his neck. So that was something. So
they let you know that he also was thinking ahead. So it's probably something he thought about. If your loan shark belongs to me, then that means I'm 10 steps ahead of you. Yeah. So you can think about killing me, but something's going to happen to you if you do.
Regardless, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ready for TMI?
Yeah.
TMI.
It's time for TMI with Melanie.
Listen to this. I am in the bathroom right before the movie starts. And I'm in the stall, and there's no toilet paper.
And mine are at home in a display case above my bed.
TMI, my friends.
TMI? Too much information.
Say don't go there, but that's lame.
Now, here's Melanie with your timeless movie info.
All right, Melanie.
All right, so there's not a heck of a lot on this movie.
Give it a name.
What?
Give it a name, Melanie.
So there's not a ton about the movie. So I have whatever I was able to get, but then I also, because of that, I made room for some stuff about Andy Garcia. So the budget is.
Look, just because your man crushes in this movie doesn't mean we need more information on him.
Hey,
Go ahead.
he's the main character, right? So anyway.
That's right.
All right. So the budget was 7 to 8. There's a conflict about this. It was either the budget was either 7 million or 8 million. It was right around there somewhere. The grand opening, they only made 44,108, and then it grossed total worldwide 529,766. So it really did not do too well. It says the film title is taken from a Warren Zevon song of the same name, and Zevon was not happy about the movie being named after a song. Miramax paid him off basically and put the song in the movie at the end credits. Scott Rosenberg wrote the script in 2 weeks. It was partly because his father was dying from cancer, so he wrote it kind of, I guess, quicker. The character name Jimmy the Saint is taken from a 1973 song, Lost in the Flood by Bruce Springsteen. This was Jenny McCarthy's first movie, her debut. And this is what she said about Christopher Walken, which I think is so funny. She said that he smelled like formaldehyde and that he nibbled from an apple that had turned brown, and he kept it in his pocket all the time and took little bites out of it throughout the movie. That's so weird.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it just says the production began on August 24th, 1994. It was shot for 34 days and over 25 interiors and exteriors in and around the city of Denver, Colorado. It was the final, I don't know who this is, but it said it was the final film for Harriet Medden, who was ending her career of 50 years of acting. So I got to look her up. The red convertible that Jimmy, which was Andy Garcia, he drives is a 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88 Royal. James Caan was originally going to play the man with the plan, but he was replaced by Christopher Walken when Caan went into rehab. At the end of the film, when they're all shown together on the board, on the boat, you can tell that some people are missing their tattoos. Some people no longer have scars. Christopher Lloyd has all of his fingers. It's because they're supposed to be restored to their best versions of themselves. Treat Williams' character inspired the name for the Detroit-based band Critical Bill. And it says, in this movie, Christopher Walken's character says at one point, maybe I will decide to be a stand-up guy. And then 17 years later, he plays a stand-up guy in the 2012 movie Stand-Up Guys. That's all I have about the actual movie. But here's some stuff about Andy Garcia. So let's see. Academy Award nominated Cuban-born actor, director, and producer, Mr. Garcia has been a leader of overcoming Cuban people under communism and is being honored for campaigning civil and economic liberties in Latin America throughout his work. He recalls being inspired by Sean Connery, growing up in Miami in the 60s, and later working with his hero in The Untouchables. It was destiny that I got to work with him.
That's right.
Yes,
Yep.
Andy.
And then
Andy Garcia. Yes.
And then it says when Andy was 5 years
Russian
old,
submarine company.
when Andy was 5 years old, his family immigrated to Miami, Florida, while him and his siblings grew up. He became known in the late 1980s and 1990s, having appeared in several successful Hollywood films, including The Godfather 3, The Untouchables, the Ocean 11 trilogy, When a Man Loves a Woman, and many more. And then I loved him in Jennifer 8, and then Dead Again. And then Andy Garcia has been a familiar face in the film for almost 40 years, but he really keeps himself, his private life. He tries to keep out of the public eye. He played high school basketball and loved baseball, and that's what he actually wanted to do for his career. He wanted to get into sports professionally, but he contracted glandular fever and hepatitis in his senior year of high school, which made him unable to be able to continue with his career that he wanted in sports. He got a break as an actor in playing Hill Street Blues. He came close to playing Ricardo Tubbs, or Tubes, is it Tubes? And Miami Vice, yeah. He was unable to attend the callback edition due to a scheduling conflict. He beat out Tom Cruise and Nicolas Cage for his role in The Godfather Part 3. He turned down the lead role in CSI New York. Ray Liotta was offered the part also before Gary Sinise signed on. It was announced in March 2021 that a new take on Father of the Bride is in the works, with Andy Garcia playing the long-suffering dad, basically, who has to give his daughter away. He's been married for almost 40 years. A lot of actors struggle to make marriages work long-term, but he is a happy exception. He tied the knot in 82, and they're still together today. They have 4 children. And he also owns a perfume company called Artistic Brands that is run by his brother. They said this. It says he's clueless and often obnoxious, but never malicious. It says he gives people unwanted nicknames, and he goes on about his Ivy League education, and is completely tone deaf on some of the issues of class and race. Yet he's such a nice guy at heart, and he was a genuine goodness about him.
He's Andy the Saint.
Oh yeah,
He's the Saint.
It says
He's
he
the
was
Saint.
honored
That's
with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, of the Year Award, National Association of Theater Owners Prism Award, and a Harvard University Foundation Award and Hispanic Heritage Award for the Arts, and has been honored for his work not only as an actor, but a producer, director, and a composer and a musician. That's it.
Wow.
Well, he's just well-rounded, that Garcia, and hot. So don't forget, he's a yummy snack. That Andy
If you're
Garcia.
saying that.
Just saying. I am. He's a yummy snack. What?
It's time now for Final Judgment. Are you ready to rubber stamp this bitch? Here's the Final Judgment.
All right, now it's time for our final judgment. Up to now, it's been opinion, but now we need to seal it into fact. So the point of the podcast is to make sure that to see if these movies hold up. And so we're going to start with, I'm going to go around the horn here. Let's go guest first. So Ida, we know that you like the movie, but do you feel as though it stands the test of time?
I do. I
Okay.
was looking at it aesthetically, and I was looking at the way it was shot, and I just watched a movie that was made last year, and I was like, not that it's so magnificent that it would make it stand the test of time, but they make some really bad movies right now. And I was like,
Yeah.
I think this movie would still. I don't know that it would be a box office hit, but I think that they could release that movie today.
Okay.
It would be live on Twitter for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's see. Melanie.
God. Okay.
Nope. Melanie.
So I loved him, and I'd never seen this movie before, so I was excited to see it. But and I did.
Okay, you love Andy Garcia. We know. I'm kidding.
I didn't think it was a bad movie. I thought it was, you can't say it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. I mean, it was good, but it was at the same time. Okay, I can't say it's good. It just wasn't bad. But the thing is that I just felt like it was very kind of long and a little bit slow. So I just felt like it was so slow. And then I watched it with my husband, and we just watched that not that long ago. And I was trying to tell him, oh yeah, we're doing things to do in Denver when you're dead. And he's like, what's that movie about? I'm like, you watched it with me. And he's like, I don't remember it. And so I'm like going over the entire plot of the movie. I'm like reading it off my phone, and he's like, I'm like, you don't remember this happened? Christopher Walken was this, and he did it. No, I don't remember any of it. I'm like, so I just kind of feel like it, like, I don't know. There's something about it that to me was a little bit, I don't want to say forgettable, because I hate to say that because it's got such good actors in it. And the plot is good. I hate to say this because I know you love it. I just felt like it was kind of boring. I don't know why. And I hate to say that because I love you and I know you love the movie. And I'm usually not that type of person. I'm usually the one that's like always like, oh, I love it. It definitely holds up. This one, I don't know, because it didn't hold up when it came out on the box office and it didn't do good. So maybe if they kind of livened it up a little bit, maybe if it came back out and they kind of, I don't know. I don't know. It just felt like it was slow to me between things. I feel bad. It's like,
no, well, let's put it this way: you're
Melanie
basing,
the Saint.
yeah, you're basing your opinion on the fact that you, like, your husband didn't remember and watched it with you.
Yeah.
So just from that rationale alone, it doesn't hold up because for whatever reason, doesn't matter. Opinions are opinions. It just wasn't memorable for whatever reason. It didn't click enough boxes internally to remember it, so therefore it doesn't hold up. That's okay. It's all right. Jay, you want to go with me? All right, hit it.
It's hard sometimes with hold up. The hold up is
I hate that
tough
part of it.
balance.
Like, and even if you love the movie,
that's the point of the podcast.
I know.
Melanie's quitting. We didn't tell her.
Yeah, she's out. I can't do this. All right, go, Jay.
No, but I would say, all right, so it probably doesn't hold up only in the sense that, like, I mean, the sense of menace doesn't feel as strong as like some typical, like a gangster movie, like in Goodfellas, Tommy scares the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though Christopher Walken is dangerous and scary in a way, but like in this, he doesn't. It didn't have that same like, oh my god, you know what I mean? Like, even though Tommy wasn't a made man in Goodfellas, he was still like, you know, if you saw him coming, you wanted to like, you know. So I think as far as people loving traditional gangster films, they probably wouldn't feel like as warm about this like today, you know. So like I don't, and plus, you know, obviously the stuff that's wrong, we've already talked at the beginning of stuff that, you know, the homophobia or whatever, like stand up. But then it depends when you're, I guess, when you're placing it in time. But then again, people do still unfortunately speak like that. So I mean, you gotta also paint them in if you were telling a story. So
yeah, they'd have to like take some.
Yeah, I'll go with that. That's kind of my take on it.
Okay. I would say they all act their asses off. I think I was very intrigued by individual scenes. I wasn't big on some of the, I know the word part was great, but I already told you I was kind of a little annoyed by the narrator telling me what these definitions were. Having said that, I don't think it, and the language is the language. We can't paint these people as nice people. And so therefore the language they use is the language they use. So it's not saying like, hey, it's great they're using these words. We're obviously not supposed to like them in one way or another. Even the quote unquote heroes of the movie, like there are parts of them that are not legit and they're not going to speak like nicely, you know, and open about things. So to that degree, I just think it wouldn't necessarily hold up because the same reason it didn't hold up in '84. I think that if you put it out now, it would bomb just as easily, just because it's kind of a niche film. It doesn't have the gravitas of a giant mobster movie. You know what I mean? It's not a Goodfellas. It's not a Godfather. It's not a Donnie Brasco. It's not a whatever. I don't think it has that gravitas, even though it has all these great actors in it. So for that reason, I don't think people wanted to see it then, and I don't think they would want to see it in droves now. So to that regard, it's still a gangster movie. So I mean, gangster movies are gangster movies. So I don't know that it would. I'd love to see the writer. Like, I don't know what else he did. I'd like to try to see another movie. Anybody know what else the writer did?
I will say this. I think that because of the internet and people have their little cults, that's why I think a movie like that would do better today than it did then.
On the internet, yeah.
That's a fair point.
The people will find it. Their people will find it. But I wouldn't think that it would be a box office hit. I'm like, where did I put my phone? Because I do want to see where that writer is.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you. Hold on.
And I do like mafia movies and gangster movies. I like those kind of movies. I just felt like this one was pretty slow compared to all the other ones, you know?
Well, there was a lot packed into it. I mean, I would love to see it reimagined for today, because there was some.
Holy Jesus. He wrote, he produced that. Hold on a second. Wait.
Con Air.
Writer.
He wrote Jumanji.
Yeah, he wrote some shit. He wrote Jumanji: The Next Level. He wrote Venom, which I like. He wrote Welcome to the Jungle, the first Jumanji movie. Kangaroo Jack, which Gone in 60 Seconds. High Fidelity, which is a great movie. Yeah, Con Air.
No, I like that. Con Air is good.
So this is kind of his only kind of meh.
And Tales from the Crypt, which makes sense to me, because you can see some of the like odd. And he also writes on From, which is a show that I just started watching.
Oh my God, I love that. And I can't watch the rest of it because I don't have that channel. It's like I started watching it and then I can't watch the rest of it.
It's so good. It's really getting ready to start again next month, the second season.
I'm excited. I want it. Hopefully it will come out where I can end up watching all of it. But I like that show. That's good.
Yeah.
Super. All right, well,
and I like
the opinion is now in stone. That is it. It kind of holds up. Is where we stand. All right.
Well, that's our show, everybody. I'd like to thank Ida Rodriguez for being here with us. Why don't you remind everybody how to find you and what you're doing and all that stuff.
So I have I have to promote. I have a an HBO Max special that I directed, one that's airing now. Ian Lara, he's a comedian that came out November 4th. That one's airing. And then on February 10th, I have another one coming out that I directed. And my book is coming out in September. Harper's Collins. And of course, I'm doing stand-up, and you can go to my website at Funny Ida to see when I'm coming to your town. And I'm coming to Denver.
Oh no! Don't be dead.
Well, I'd like to ask everybody to please like and subscribe to our channel and all that stuff. It's we're really working hard at it, and so tell everybody about it. And my name is Jay Fortier. On the behalf of Melanie and Chris, I'd like to thank you again for joining us here on the Film Crickets. And until next time, movies may not age like fine wine, but we drink it anyway. Bye.
Film Crickets, chirping about movies.